First, we're going to talk about you and your fancy spacesuit. Wait a minute.
So where are we?
Wait, are we rolling yet?
Yeah, we've been rolling. So where are we?
We're at the Johnson Space Center.
And we have this big green screen behind us, but
they're going to fill it in with
They're going to fill it and make it look like we're really on space station.
Really?
Yeah.
So you should be floating around.
Yeah, so we need to be floating around. But more important, why am I dressed like this?
Why are you dressed like this?
Am I the repairman or something, or why do I have this?
We have something that needs fixing here? No. You're dressed like that because what are you going to do after we film this little episode?
As soon as we're done filming this, I jet off to Ellington Airfield where I'm going to do my spaceflight readiness training.
Which means you're going to fly in an airplane.
A T-38.
T-38. And you're not going to do it alone, are you?
No, you need two people in these days because...
Well, we need two people.
Yeah, because we need to have a real pilot fly with us, right?
Right.
But the purpose of the T-38s is to complement our simulator training, because we'll be in a simulator, we'll be flying, we'll be sweating and all of that, and we crash and burn, and then you put a quarter in the slot and hit reset and everybody's alive and you can fly it all over again. But you can't do that in a T-38 because it's for real.
It's a real thing. So what are you going to do today in the... So that's why you dress like this?
Yes.
So you have... This is kind of interesting the way you're dressed. You have a blue flight suit on, which is kind of like a regular military flight suit, except it's blue.
That's right.
And it's made out of what material?
Nomex. It's a fire retardant material.
And that's the same stuff that like firemen wear.
It is.
So the idea is if you have a bad day and something starts burning...
I mean, you have a lot of fuel, jet fuel with you, and jet fuel burns, and so it's good to have something that's at least a little bit fire retardant.
Right, so this will hopefully help
and then you got your gloves.
Gloves, which also have Nomex on them.
Yeah, and then I got my, this is really important.
Right.
This are what?
This is your, this is Don's checklist.
But they're emergency procedures,
checklist.
like uncommanded abrupt pitch up, flaps extended. And this is a bold face, which means you got to know it by heart. It says control stick, full forward to arrest pitch rate. Throttles, max, that means you light the burners. Flaps, 60%. And then landing gear up when the appropriate speed.
Tell the difference between a bold face and something that's not bold face is bold face you have to have committed to memory. Yeah. Because you don't have any time to get into the checklist and read it. It's stuff like a fire or an engine problem that's really bad.
Yeah,
you know,
and then you got these things in-op component table. What happens if you lose the DC bus?
Well, you gotta look.
Okay, you got a list of all of this stuff.
That's a direct current electrical bus, so there's stuff that's on direct current, and if you lose that, you're going to lose a bunch of equipment.
Yeah, and what happens?
And some of it's bad, and some of it's not so bad.
Yeah, and say you have AC, you got 3-phase, 400 cycle AC and aircraft systems, and you got the left system and the right system. If you lose the right system, you know, it has a list of all this stuff that you lose, and you lose your oil pressure indication. The engine anti-ice comes on automatically, and you lose...
Which is a good thing.
Well, but you lose 6% thrust. So now if you're in a situation where, say, you're single engine, and say single engine, right engine goes down, you don't get a crossover, now you're running on one engine, and all of a sudden, bang, you lose 6% of your thrust all at the same time. So you need to know these things. And so I've got my emergency procedures here. And then what else do I have? Oh, I've got my pocket tool. So you never know when you might need to have your pocket tool to fix something either in or out or whatever.
You never know. All right.
So anyway, you got all this stuff.
And then you got the American flag.
American flag, yeah, I'm proud of that.
You got a pencil.
A pencil, yeah. And this is a real pencil.
All right, so that's where you head. So after we do this fun and games
I'm going to do spaceflight readiness training. This complements the simulator training that we do here because it's a real high dynamic vehicle that you need to make real-time decisions in, and this complements what we do when we fly real spacecraft.
Who are you flying with today? Who's your pilot?
I don't know. I need to look at the schedule. It's just kind of potluck, you know. You know, I'm a mercenary. I'll fly with anyone.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Right, but anyway, we are here for ISS.
We're here for the
Mailbag.
ISS Mailbag.
Okay, so what do we have?
We've got these questions here. I really like this one. We may want to. This is really good. I like this one. This is from I Am Dave.
I Am Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says here. Okay. How has the mental process of figuring out how to do stuff in space translated to home life?
Oh.
What do you think of that?
Well, checklists. You know, you go to the grocery store, you make a checklist of all the stuff. Okay, cereal, bread, eggs, milk, right? So the consequence of forgetting to do something or missing a step when you're operating a spacecraft can be significant. That's why we use checklists when we fly the T-38s. It's all part of our training. And some of this training translates to your home life when you make a checklist so you don't forget something that's important, like anniversary, or take wife out to dinner, or...
So what it says here is how the stuff in space translated to home life. So before you flew in space, you used to forget all this kind of stuff? You go to the grocery store and not know what to buy?
Yeah, I go to the grocery store and maybe I needed to get cereal and I come home with soda or something, just because I forgot that I needed cereal.
All right, so that's one thing, checklist.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is that in space, there's some really tough stuff to figure out. I feel like when we were repairing the Hubble, and sometimes you were under the gun to try to figure out right away, and you weren't sure if it was going to work or not, and so on. And so when I'm at home working on stuff, I can say to myself, it's not as tough as the Hubble. It's not as tough as the Hubble. That's when you're faced with a problem that's really we could figure out the Hubble, we could figure this out. In most cases, that's true.
Yeah. One thing about spaceflight, you have to be able to make decisions. And these decisions oftentimes have significant consequences. And you need to transfer this decision-making process to your home life. So you can make decisions. Do we eat mashed potatoes for dinner, or do we have French fries?
These big,
you got to make these big life-changing decisions.
Yes. These are big, yeah. I think one of the things I like about space flights, they kind of tell you what to do most of the time. You look at the flight plan, or what do you call that thing, that OSTPV?
Yeah, OSTPV.
They kind of you know what you need to do because it's there, and you don't, boom, you have to do it.
Well, but on station, you can't have a flight plan that lays out every 5 minutes.
I thought that's what you did with that OSTPV.
Well,
did you use that?
Did
you follow what you were supposed to do when you were in space?
Well, sort of. It's more of a guideline, but.
That's why you took all those pictures. I don't think how many pictures did you take?
500,000.
Yeah, I don't know if 500,000 pictures was in your flight plan. 500,000.
That's what you do after the flight plan.
All right, okay.
But anyway, so you need to learn how to make decisions, and that applies to life on Earth as well as in spacecraft.
Right.
Okay, what else?
All right.
Space Cow. Now, what's
that? What's that? Oh, here we go. If you could bring one thing from home, this comes from James Cooper.
Okay.
I know a guy named James Cooper. He used to work at Goddard.
Isn't he a musician or something?
No, that's Alice Cooper.
Oh.
That's James Taylor. Who are you thinking of? I think it was somebody else.
I think I was...
Gary Cooper?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so if you could bring one thing from home that currently isn't possible, I think they're meaning to space, right? So if you could bring one thing from home that currently isn't possible, what would it be?
Oh.
It's an easy question, Don. Come on, it's easy.
Okay.
What could you bring if you could bring anything you'd want to bring?
Come
on.
I'd bring you.
No, that's not. Your family.
I'd bring my family.
I was trying to help them out. Yeah. Right, you would want to bring your family, wouldn't you? Because you miss them so much.
Yeah, I sure would. I'd bring my family. And just think if you turned a bunch of kids loose, if you turned station into a daycare center, imagine if you turned
That's kind of like if you and I were there together, that's what it would be like.
But imagine these kids would be flying all over the place, man.
Yeah, we haven't done that together, but that would be what it would be like. Yeah, so have your family up there running around.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than the family, because of course that's what we'd want to bring. What would be the next thing you could?
The next thing that I might want to bring. Let me think about that. What would you
question
bring?
of my pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah. What's the story? No pizza in space.
No pizza in space.
Did you get pizza in space?
No.
And you were there for a long time.
No pizza in space, but you might be able to make a pizza because we have this flat bread, which is kind of like a pizza crust.
Yeah.
And then you could we've got green beans with bacon and kind of tomato sauce. And so you could put that on top of it and it would kind of look like pizza sauce.
Yeah.
And then what else?
Need cheese.
We had some old Amsterdam cheese. So you could put that on. And then
was it old, or was that just the name of it?
That's the name of it.
Oh, okay.
And then I guess that'd be your pizza. But you know, you might not think it'd be great pizza down here on Earth, but because of location, I bet it'd be really tasty.
Yeah, the ambiance and atmosphere of the
station,
the dining room would make up for it. Yeah. All right. So how about you?
Oh, what would I bring? I would probably do something uber geekish and bring a little piece of science equipment with me. Maybe an electrostatic detector or something.
You didn't bring one of those with you already?
No. But if I could, I think I'd bring an electrostatic detector so I could measure.
Not a metal detector.
No, this
metal detector would be cool.
This.
You could find stuff floating around there like.
But it's all made out of metal.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Metal detector wouldn't be a good idea. You couldn't find like Dan Burbank's old watch that he left on space station.
No, but I'd bring a detector of electric charge, static charge. So like you brush your hair or something, or you charge up your knitting needle or whatever, and you can measure the magnitude and direction of the charge. And I think that would be cool to have on station because you could use it for any number of educational demonstrations.
Okay, so you could show but was there anything you could do that? I'm just wondering, like, if you're going through a high radiation area, would it show up with that?
What would happen probably?
I mean, we already got that kind of stuff on station.
Yeah, we do, but high levels of radiation tends to deplete static charge.
Wow.
So you might have something like your knitting needle charged up, and then you go through the South Atlantic anomaly, you might actually see the magnitude of the charge on your knitting needle decrease.
Wow, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. See, so there'd be a lot of neat things you could do.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. Great. I'd bring pizza. You bring some instrument that would promote science.
Well, but you see, think about this. You could bring the pizza. We'd eat the pizza. It would nourish our brains, and we might come up with an idea that we never would have thought about if you hadn't brought the pizza.
All right. Thanks for saving me.
That wraps up for this episode.
That's it.
But stay tuned. There will be more. And thanks, everyone, for tweeting in their questions.
Great questions. Thank you. Keep them coming.